Hey, this is Cameron and welcome to the reaction log. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not in the highest spirits right now. I just got out of my first hour and a half of practice and I only spent it on one piece, which is the Prelude to 997. And if you've been following my little music journey this month, you know that I've been practicing for about 6 hours a day in preparation for this competition that's coming up in like 3 days. And God, like after this past hour and a half, I feel worse at guitar than I did 2 months ago. And it makes me wonder, it's like, what am I, some teenager practicing in his bedroom, just drilling the same Hendrix song, not getting any better at anything? Like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be a high-level player who every practice session gets a little bit better because I practice in a very systematic and logical way. And you know, sometimes I just feel like a kid in his bedroom, just doing nothing. Probably better off playing Fortnite or something. Like, so what we can do now, maybe we should just scour the internet for some inspiration of some kind. I don't know. I don't want to practice right now because it feels kind of bad. So I don't know, let's see. Davey504, see ya. You have the right idea, just freaking quit, dude. Record labels are shutting down my channel. Well, that's not an issue with classical guitar because it's all public domain. Except for the Rodrigo and Morel that I play. But everything else, nobody's shutting that down because nobody cares and it's public domain. John Crossley's practicing some Carcassi. Yeah, man, it's your funeral. Have fun with that. This might actually be it right here. Guitar practice, B minor backing track. If only that was my guitar practice. My life would be so much more simple. Oh, we got Steve Terraberry with an AI thumbnail? What the heck, man? You have millions of subscribers. What are you doing? I do have an AI banner, to be fair. Brandon Aker, why I quit metal and became a classical musician? You should have stayed with metal, dude. Classical freaking sucks right now. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Mr. Beast is what Mark's warned us about. Pretty good. Not good enough for me to click on, though. I like dishing out the clickbait, but I try not to click on it too much. What do we have here? How to get good at guitar? Well, that's exactly what I need right now. And it's a Rick Beato. Oh, sorry, it's not a Rick Beato video. It's a Lex Clips, Lex Freidman, the podcaster. I guess Rick Beato is on there. I actually knew that already. You guys have mentioned that quite a bit. So I don't know. This might actually be the video for me. I've never watched a full episode of Lex Freidman, and even if I had watched a partial episode, it was years ago. I'm not really into podcasts, to be honest. But from what I do know about Lex Freidman, it's mainly males watching him who want to like optimize and self-improve. Like, as far as I know, I'm coming into this with no research whatsoever. So I'm a male who's trying to optimize and self-improve through getting better at guitar, and that's exactly what this episode is on. And there's a familiar face on it, so it's like, I feel like this is a match made in heaven right here. Well, let's continue this break from practicing and watch a Rick Beato video. Sorry, a Lex Freidman video. Look at that, dude. Maybe, I feel a little underdressed right now. Hold on. There we go. Whoopam. Alright, we're in this one for real now. I'm serious. I'm sorry I don't have a tie. You guys have made comments how you think that the t-shirt under the sports jacket is a really dumb look. I agree with you. That's why I do it. This is a comedy show. This is basically the modern day version of a clown costume. Alright, let's watch me watch this video. Shall we?
Joe Pass and Bebop.
Whoa, dude, we just talked about Joe Pass. Hey, go give my Joe Pass John William video some views, please. Alright, we're getting into kind of a heavy topic here. Joe Pass and Bebop. I just want to play some guitar better. I thought this would be a general guitar tips video. Okay.
What is bebop jazz? And people like Joe Pass, and in your own life, your dad was somehow listening to that kind of incredibly complex and sophisticated music.
But what?
I mean, let's not go overboard here. If you don't know the language, it might sound complex, but you know, it doesn't hold a candle to the complexity and beauty of classical guitar. Whatever, shut up, you know the shtick. Alright.
But wasn't a musician, which was very weird.
Oh, interesting. So Rick Beato's dad listened to jazz and wasn't a musician? That is weird. I feel like after a while, this music just becomes music for other musicians. That means Rick Beato's dad was probably really smart. So, there you go.
I have 6 siblings, and we could never figure out why Dad liked really sophisticated jazz.
We just took it for granted at that time.
Yeah, just took it for granted. My dad passed away in 2004, and we never really talked about that, but he and I used to listen to music together all the time. We'd put on a record. I'd sit on one side of the room, he'd sit on the other, and not say a word, listen through the whole side A, I'd go flip it over, listen to side B, never say a word.
Dude, that's wild. I wonder how old little Ricky was when his dad was having him do that. That's a real music enjoyer right there. Or sorry, enjoyer's not even the right word. Because I feel like it's more than enjoyment at that point. I've heard similar stories from Guthrie Govan. Like his dad would make him listen to records all the way through and you weren't allowed to speak or anything because it was this like sacred thing. But that's hardcore. Music to most people I feel like is kind of a background thing. And that's sort of the only function that it has. It's to like just be this nice part of your atmosphere, especially coming from a non-musician, which maybe I should define what I'm saying here. There's passive and there's active listening, and passive is what most people do, which is when it's background, like I said, and then active is when you're actually only listening to music and you're not doing anything else. And with all of your attention, you're putting focus on the music to hear every little like detail that's going on. Like maybe you're listening to classical music, you're listening for every iteration of a motif, and you're like listening for like, this is the second theme, this is like the recap, whatever, versus just having something playing and not really listening to it. Usually active listening is kind of reserved for people who play music, because they're usually the people that find music the most interesting. So again, it's interesting that he didn't do that. How is this going to get me better at guitar though, I wonder?
And we did that all the time.
And so the first time you impressed your dad was with the Joe Pass song,
Yeah.
right? And by the way, we have to go to this song.
How'd you find this out, Lex? You snooping around Rick's life? Is this on Rick's Wikipedia page? The first time I impressed my dad. I'd have that on my Wikipedia page, too. I'd have tabs for, like, my early career, late career, all the times I impressed my dad.
People just think you're like a good communicator or something. They don't realize how good you are at guitar, how good you are at actually a lot of instruments, but guitar especially. And there's this video.
Ooh, alright. Dude, Rick's loving this. The greatest guitar solo, period.
The greatest guitar solo, period. Can you give me some context for this particular intricate, complicated solo?
I feel like this is the best kind of audience for Rick right here. This is a guy who, I don't know much about him, but I assume he has a career like trying to understand things at like a surface to like somewhat deep level. So he brings on experts to try to learn about a bunch of stuff. But man, it's hard to do that with jazz, and he will always be enamored no matter how many times Rick Beato is on with a Joe Pass bebop solo. So Rick's lapping it up right now. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm the best.
Joe Pass was a guitarist. He lived from 1929 to 1994. He was one of the greatest bebop players and solo guitar players. So he made a record that this is off of called Virtuoso in 1973.
What a baller name for your record, right? Virtuoso. Boom. Pick it up at stores near you.
Dad gave me for Christmas when I was in 10th grade. And he said, and this is not like my dad. My dad worked for the railroad. He was very, few words spoken. Born in 1919. He said, if you ever learn to play guitar like this, you've accomplished something with your life.
Dude, heck yeah. That's all you gotta say, Pops. You're saying all I have to do is play guitar in my bedroom for my entire life and I've accomplished something? Dude, that's awesome.
What? So this record state was unopened until about March after Christmas. And one day I was like, okay, I'll open it up. And I put it on. I start listening to it. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I think I can figure out some of this stuff. So I figured out this thing.
Is it by ear mostly?
Yeah, just by ear. I didn't know any of the chords or anything.
By ear, mostly. No, I looked up some sheet music for some of it, but mostly by ear. All by ear. Of course it was by ear. It's Rick frickin' Beato. Go buy his course. I'm sure it's on sale right now.
If you can listen to a little bit here.
If you go back to that brother to brother Gino Vanelli thing with Carlos Rios playing, that stuff is incredibly hard. This, I don't know any of these chords. So I start out, I don't even know what that chord is, but I figured it out. And it's weird. I mean, look at that weird bar.
So you were just finding, like playing around, putting your fingers on the various positions.
Right, but trying every combination of fingers. I'd never played that chord. It's a weird looking chord. I moved my fingers around until I heard to where it sounded like, oh, that's it, definitely. And I looked at my hand, I was like, what is that? Had no idea what it was.
So you were connected to you were really connected to the music.
Yeah.
No. What? You're really connected to the music. Sounds like a non-musician commenting on this. No, you just brute forced it. There's no connection whatsoever. He's connected with it now. He could just figure out the chord by ear now, I'm sure. But that was just brute force, like idiot learning. just banging it out for hours when it could have taken minutes, which isn't necessary to learn how to transcribe this stuff, in my opinion. You can also like spend time just learning theory first, and then you can more easily apply it to this stuff. But brute forcing it like this is a really great way if you have a lot of time to get that short-term gratification that'll really inspire you to play more guitar. Because guitar is this super long-term thing. Like, you can practice for 6 hours a day for a month and feel like you're not any better at all, and you might actually even be worse. But if you can spend that like 12-hour session figuring out a couple bars of a Joe Pass solo with no theory knowledge, like, I'm sure he had theory knowledge back then, but I mean, if he was just like trying every combination, maybe not that much though. If you can actually get that worked out at the end of a 12-hour shift in your bedroom, that is like kind of short-term gratification. I started this day with nothing, and then I end this day with a couple bars of this crazy solo. That's a good feeling, and that'll make you like get up early in the morning and like do it more. So that can be necessary too. Not everything needs to be this like, I spend 1 hour a day learning theory for a year and then I apply it to a Joe Pass solo, and it was pretty easy to transcribe. Sometimes you have to have those hard, grueling sessions that really build some character. There are a lot of ways to skin a cat, and not everything needs to be methodical, is what I'm saying, I suppose.
And so that's why you can hear. It's not necessarily. Did you even you didn't have perfect pitch?
No.
And not even relative pitch.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, does Lex Friedman know what relative pitch is? Relative pitch is just using a reference pitch to figure out another pitch. So I think we all have that to some degree. And some of us it's just very, very underdeveloped. And some of us it's very well-developed, like in Rick Beato. And lesser so, like in myself. Hard emphasis on lesser so, because, again, I'm a classical guitarist, and I spend most of my time reading black dots that have no meaning to me whatsoever. They're just dots on a page. What chord is this? I don't freaking know. Are you kidding me? They don't pay me to know what chord this is. They pay me to play it with feeling. Or actually, they don't pay me at all. I pay to study this, actually. I'm making myself sad.
Didn't know anything about intervals. I didn't know anything about music theory, anything. This is all just...
He was just like playing around with different shapes. That's amazing.
Right.
I mean, look at that weird bar.
Yeah, he was banging it out. Every kid goes through something like this at some point. I'm telling you. And if you haven't, maybe it's time for you to bang out some Joe Pass for like 12 hours straight.
But then you get into these things.
Ooh, it's discouraging hearing all that after it took you a couple hours to figure out that first one.
So that stuff there, I could figure out. And then this. That stuff I could figure out. And then these things here, those are just inversions of it.
But I didn't know that.
I had heard Joe play that on the record. This is the last song out there. I listened to it a bunch of times, and I started.
So you just replay over and over and over and over, and you're like trying to replicate it.
Yes, and I'm memorizing every different chord shape, all chord shapes that I had never played before.
Would you recommend people do something like that on a really complicated song?
Oh, here we go. I did. Let's see if Ricky agrees with me, which I feel like maybe that's something you wouldn't expect for me to say. But again, not everything needs to be this methodical, like perfectly planned out journey. If you have that obsession inside of you, sometimes it's good to just give in and just be a freaking gremlin for like a month and just never go outside and just obsess, even if it could be directed in a more productive and better way. Like sometimes that obsession needs that resistance to actually like fully grow. You know, I'm just saying things right now. All right.
Yeah, but there's so many YouTube videos that you can go and just learn it without having to. Yes, yeah, I would recommend.
I feel like the struggle
is where it's at.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like, kids these days, they'll just search up somebody's transcription, and even worse, they'll search up somebody's tab of this Joe Pass solo, and then you know what they'll do? They'll spend, like, a day or so, like, probably going through the whole thing and playing it really crappy. You know, that's it. Because they already got the experience of the solo, and you can feel kind of done after that. But what Rick is saying there, it would take a month to go through that whole solo. Painstakingly, just listening to it. Will that encourage you to play more? Probably. I'd say probably. All right, whatever.
In general, people like there's all these educators that try to make learning easier and more fun and all that kind of stuff. Great, wonderful. But part of the thing is the struggle.
Absolutely.
You know, that's basically what I was saying, but when it's coming out of his mouth, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's wrong with easier education? What are you, crazy? It really shows how self-centered and arrogant I am. I can hear my opinion coming out of someone else's mouth, and I'll be like, that's wrong. No, I don't agree with that now. It's a balance, okay? The struggle is good. Also, optimizing the education itself is good, too. You don't want all struggle, obviously. Okay, whatever. I'm just talking in circles.
Cheers.
You're nuts.
I heard licks like that all over this, so I knew that was. And then these licks here, he plays a lot of ideas like that. That's basically a C9 chord in the top notes of it.
Dude, Lex doesn't even know what to think of this right now.
So all these are just inversions of the same chord. So if I could play that, then it's just figuring out the single notes, okay? So...
See, figuring that out without knowing intervals or any theory or anything like that, that would be freaking hard, dude. But to me, I'm just hearing arpeggios like going through 2-5-1s, and if I know that already, especially if I run that through the Amazing Slowdowner and like actually like hear it at a speed where I could maybe like try to play along with it, which would be like around 5% or so, you could transcribe this pretty quickly. And I'm saying that because I've done this before. Like, I never got too into jazz, but I transcribed some Charlie Parker after college just because I was kind of obsessed with it for a while. Yeah, knowing theory made it a lot faster, and I got like the end result much quicker. So I don't know, it's a balance. It's also a language though. I imagine if you painstakingly, ignorantly transcribe this stuff like slowly, over a couple of years you'd probably understand the vocabulary without even knowing what anything is, with no like theory, I mean. Alright, let's end this video.
Okay, so if you just take this first part here, when he goes... So this intro part...
You make it sound so simple when you break it down. And by the way, Joe Pass, incredible guitar player. Like, this is...
Oh, really? Do you think he's an incredible guitar player, Lex Freidman? Oh, wow. No duh, he's an incredible guitar player. I don't even want to hear you say that.
And he improvised all this.
Yeah, he improvised it, but again, bebop is a very specific language, and, you know, it all kind of sounds the same, because it's all lines connecting in kind of similar ways. Joe Pass improvised that, sort of like how I'm improvising this sentence right now. Once you know the language, it's not that crazy of a thing, and that's how the language is spoken. I'm not supposed to write things out and then say them to you. That'd be very strange if I did that. Or I guess it wouldn't be strange, that'd be called having a script. But that's not really suited for this kind of video. In the style of bebop jazz, writing it out is not suited for that either. So saying that he improvised it is not like an impressive thing, like as if other people don't improvise their bebop jazz lines. It's like that's how it's done. So that's all I'm saying.
You know, the first was the individual notes.
Ooh, that's hard. Maybe it's playing like that. That sounds more realistic.
And also, he might have improvised these tunes, but I bet when he plays them live, they sound pretty similar. Like, as in, he's playing the tune, and he kind of has his lines already figured out and memorized, and then he will play them with some variation, I'm sure. I'm just guessing there, but I'm just saying.
This is just taking the needle, moving it there, then going back a little, oh, there. And then by the end, the record was so scratched. But it was worth it. When I played it for my dad, he couldn't believe... I mean, he didn't say that's amazing. He was just like, pretty good.
That's, I guess, if you want your kids to be incredible at guitar, never show you're proud of them outwardly. That's what I'm going to do to my kids. I will never be proud of my kids. I don't care what they're playing for me. They could be playing some shreddy, soulless Paganini for me when they're 14, and I'll just be like, okay. Okay. That was a Marson reference, by the way. I need to get back to practicing. I've only put in an hour and a half into one piece, and, you know, I'm doing 6 hours. I have, like, a couple days until the next guitar competition. It's in Boone, North Carolina, by the way. But then after that, I'm done. Because I feel like after 3 competitions, like, within 5 weeks, I'm not getting better at guitar in a month, in 2 months. I need a year of, like, super dedicated, hardcore, up practice. Just no lifing. I don't play video games. Do you guys know that? Talking about Lex Freidman and like trying to optimize your life. I'm a 20-something-year-old adult male. I don't play any video games because my whole life is occupied with guitar right now, and it will be for the next year. And I don't know, it just seems like a lot of people are playing video games nowadays, and it just makes me sad. Why don't you play more guitar? I'm in a weird place. I feel like as the competition gets more near, I become more aware of how unprepared I am. I've been going hardcore for like a month, but there's nothing I can do that'll get me to the level where I know I need to be to actually like do well in this competition. So the only thing I'm really thinking about is just I want to at least know my music so well that I will put on a good performance that I will film in front of the judges, and at least the video will be kind of good because it's like, hey, I'm having fun at this competition, and then I play. I didn't get anything for it, but I played well, so I kind of get a good video for it. That's nice. I just want something that I can be proud of, you know? But as it nears, it's just like, oh my god, I don't know if there's enough hours in the day until then for me to achieve what I want to achieve. So I kind of just have to just go in like, I don't know, like, hey, I tried my best. Next year, though, I'm serious. I've been slacking a little bit starting this master's degree just because there's a lot of schoolwork. I'm finding the time. I'm cutting out everything in my life that might have like eaten up some time. 5 hours a day minimum going forward for the next year. It's what has to be done. And if I do that, I know that I can achieve something great in a year's time, or maybe like 2 years' time. Definitely by the end of my master's degree. So it's a journey, and I'm documenting it. You guys are going to see the whole thing. And you guys have seen the whole thing. I've made it so far already, right? But I'd say we're like halfway there. Halfway there. I've been doing this for like 2 years. Give it another 2 years. Then we'll reassess after that. Not feeling great right now. It's kind of a bad first hour and a half, but I'm going to get back to it now. Or I guess I'll edit this video first. This shouldn't be too long to edit, though. Yeah. You know, this is a reaction log. Sorry if this one's a little more somber than usual. That was a reference to Somber without the E, the popular artist that Rick Beato covers often. No, it wasn't. It was a reference to the word somber, which just, what does somber even mean? Oh, there he is. Google, I wanted somber, not this. Somber. He makes me feel somber to be alive in this generation. Shane Michael Boos. Dude, he could have gone by Boos, bro. What's up? Known professionally as Somber. Professionally and somber being in the same sentence is so funny. Is an American singer, songwriter, and record producer. He released his debut single, Nothing Left to Say. If only, right? Yeah, screw modern music. God, dude, he's 20 years old. He's so freaking young. Oh my god, he's so young. 2005? Oh my god, I am an old fart. I'm 27, guys. 27 years old. What have I achieved in my life? Freaking nothing. I've lived 27 years and all I have is a poorly played Prelude to 997. God, what instruments does he play? Vocals, guitar, piano, bass, drums. I bet he's freaking awesome at all of those things. Let's hear your fugue, coward. Okay, alright. Sorry, somber. What does somber mean? Dark or dull in color or tone, gloomy. Yeah, so is this a somber reaction log? Maybe parts of it. Oppressively solemn or somber in mood, grave. He looked at her with a somber expression. Wow, what a sick freaking example sentence. You just threw it into a sentence. We're given no context clues as to what somber means with a sentence. Like, if I click on these, is it gonna be like, he looked at her with an earnest expression, he looked at her with a serious expression, a grave expression, a sober expression, an unsmiling expression. Alright. I believe we're done here. So, I'm gonna get back to practicing, and I hope you have been practicing this whole time. Of course, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. There's a sale on Rootin's Delight right now. You can pick up your work shirt, so if you want to clock in, watch some Sore Hands video, clock out, maybe watch some Sore Hands on your off time too. Hey, you can never be too productive, and you can never watch too much Sore Hands. I have a lot of freaking videos, so I bet you haven't watched them all. If only I practiced as much as I made YouTube videos. But practicing is so hard, though. Making YouTube videos is so much fun, and it's easier. All I do is just ramble and waste time. It's so much more fun. I don't know. Do you want anything else from me? I have an email. You can email me if you want. I used to have that for guitar lesson inquiries, but I'm not teaching any lessons right now because I gotta practice and it's just too busy. But maybe over the summer I'll teach some lessons. I don't know. Finger check. Look at my fingers. If you can't see that, I'll post a little picture of what my fingers looked like yesterday. Those are the fingers of 6 hours a day for a month straight. They feel like scales, like on a lizard. And I'm encountering this problem where I can't feel the string anymore under my fingers. So, like, especially when I'm playing cold, like, I can't feel the strings. As my fingers warm up, they kind of loosen, like the pads loosen a bit, and then I can feel again. But it's interesting. I've never experienced that before, because I guess I've never practiced as I should have before. Better late than never. All right. I'll see you in the next one.